Australia, one of the world's most biodiverse and ecologically rich continents. When you think of Australia's wildlife, kangaroos, koalas, and maybe even crocodiles come to mind. But few animals are as mysterious and elusive as the platypus. A duck-billed, egg-laying, venomous mammal that swims like an otter and hunts with electric signals. This is the platypus, one of the most unique mammals on Earth.
The platypus's range extends across Australia, from Tasmania to far north Queensland. This range covers a variety of climates, biomes, and elevations. In the past, platypus research has largely focused on southern populations, leading to a gap in research on northern populations. Over 40 years of research have been poured into studying southern populations, but scientists have just started to turn their attention to other places in the platypus's range.
I mean, the platypus population goes along the entire east coast. So I think for a long time people felt, well, it's sort of one population, so if we study them near Sydney or Melbourne or Canberra, you'll get a good idea of what's happening to platypuses all around. But the more we look closely at it, we realize these are distinct genetic populations.
Given these distinct populations, our study aims to improve future research on the under-researched platypus in northern Queensland. Specifically, we focused our study on the Atherton tablelands by utilizing various temporal and spatial observation techniques. The Atherton tablelands provide a unique habitat at high elevation with cooler temperatures and flat topography that provide the ideal water conditions for the platypus. Platypodes in this region have to live with wide variations in water level caused by the region's distinct wet and dry seasons. The Atherton tablelands has also been severely impacted by the agriculture, timber, mining, and dairy industries, which have created rainforest fragmentation and riverbank degradation in the region. Given the historic environmental impacts present in the Atherton tablelands, this underscores the need for expanded conservation efforts and data collection.
The first component of our research focused on observational platypus studies. During our research period, we had 3 24-hour monitoring surveys at 3 different sites.
Yes, we actually did some interesting observational studies that were very time and labor consuming. So we watched the platypus over 24 hours because not much is known about their activity rhythm.
We performed monitoring at Peterson Creek, the Barron River, and the Iggy's Nature Refuge. Data at Peterson Creek displayed more crepuscular activity rhythms at dawn and dusk, while activity at the Barron River displayed more ephemeral tendencies, and data at the Iggy's was inconclusive.
Researchers in northern Queensland have historically faced limitations, but citizen science records have led to improvements in knowledge throughout Australia.
I think citizen science is going to be very useful for platypus research, largely because people, the general public, often know where platypus are and will often say they've seen platypus in some very strange places. If we can tap into that kind of information, we'll get a much better picture of where platypus are living on the tablelands.
During our research, we used data taken from an iNaturalist grid centered around the Atherton tablelands to create graphs measuring monthly and hourly platypus sightings. For our hourly data, a high volume of sightings were reported at dusk around the 17th hour. For our monthly data, a high volume of sightings were reported from July to October. These increased sightings could also coincide with higher activity levels during mating period. However, this increase in sightings also coincides with Queensland's peak tourism season.
We also used this iNaturalist data to construct a GIS map with waterways and soil types overlaid. These maps helped identify soil and habitat requirements for the platypus, with most burrows located on non-cracking photosols and dermasols. Our research also focused on locating and capturing burrows with photos and videos in order to better understand platypus behavior, population dynamics, and the preferred environmental conditions. We used a variety of different devices such as a GoPro, endoscope, and iPhone, and also played around with different light sources. Our test revealed that the iPhone and GoPro were equally as effective out of water, but the GoPro was a clear winner for underwater footage.
Overall, our findings provide future researchers with more information on the activity and behavior of the northern platypus, an elusive animal for which existing literature and research are currently limited in the North Queensland wet tropics region. This future research is especially important in an area such as the Atherton tablelands, where deforestation and fragmentation continue to pose threats to the environment.
Yeah, the main thing what I learned through this research project is that we don't know much about the platypus, and more has to be done. We have to stop further destruction of vegetation, particularly next to creeks. And unfortunately, Queensland is the land clearing capital of Australia, and that, of course, affects the platypus. Conditions may change in a way that there is a tipping point reached and the platypus will disappear. So we need more research on this animal in various environments to hold any extinction processes.
Through conservation efforts, we can allow for future researchers to better understand and observe the platypus, which will in turn aid in future conservation efforts and riparian restoration programs.
Males have poison spurs. They lay eggs. They use electrosensors for finding food. They're the only remnants of their lineage. Why on earth wouldn't you want to conserve those?